Welcome to our podcasts, Wise Black Nanas, Life Coaching Between the Dash. Hey, what do you do when it feels like life has thrown you a few too many challenges, knocked you down, in the bed, hard to talk about even with your best friend challenges, and it feels like the challenges are winning? Wouldn't it be nice to hear from your Nana? Or a stand-in Wise Black Nana? Well, they are Wise Black Nanas, Sharla Walker, PhD, and Joanne Early, MS, two mature women with over 70 plus years of combined coaching and mentoring, professional human resources, and business experience. The wonderful news is, these Wise Black Nanas are still living and learning about this amazing life, about resilience and grit, gratitude and appreciation, and the extraordinary power of love and friendships, being positive and supportive, and learning from others. Welcome to Wise Black Nanas. Let's listen in.
Hi, I'm Joanne, co-host and one half of Wise Black Nanas podcast, of our Wise Black Nanas podcast team. As we say all the time on this podcast, Wise Black Nanas talk about our lived experience, snapshots into what's happening in our lives, memories from our past, and we hope our future lives. On this episode, we're celebrating a few things, and we just want to share those things with you. We are celebrating our 1 year anniversary of posting our Wise Black Nanas podcast. We're celebrating perseverance because we've encountered quite a few curveballs during this year that included some major illnesses. And we are so excited and blessed that we are still here doing our podcast and ready to keep sharing our experiences with you. We're celebrating our creation of our YouTube channel, and we're looking so forward to all the things that we hope to accomplish with that. Our big news, though, is that we are introducing and providing to all of our loyal listeners the Wise Black Nanas Guide to Life's Tough Decisions, giving you some tips for empowerment and for everyday joy. And that's just been a labor of love from the Wise Black Nanas team. So here to say welcome. We're so excited to share this information with you, and we can't wait to tell you a little bit more about our guide. Dr. Sharla?
Hi, this is Dr. Sharla, and I am blessed, to say the least, to be here and continue to share the stage with Joanne Early. It has past tense, been a rough year, but we have persevered, we have focused, and we have managed, and we have come through. I'm so proud of us continuing to put out the podcast and also understanding when we need to take a break. And that's hard decisions that we need to make, which we've talked about, but we had to make it for our own health reasons and for our own for podcast reasons. So I hope that you enjoyed the guide that we put out. And remember, this is just tips and resources, and these things will work or will not work for everybody. But we look forward to your feedback and the next revision of this particular guide. Okay.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit more about the guide, but let's reflect a little bit more on just this 1 year, and not so much the curveballs that we've been thrown, but just how exciting it's been to um, just to do this, just
Yeah.
to, sometimes I'm not quite sure what to even call it, because I'm still surprised that, well, I shouldn't say surprised, but pleased. And just thinking that something that we started talking about over lunch, actually came to be, and we had an opportunity to just make it happen. So it's just been really, really exciting to be able to put out a program like this. We've heard
Mhm.
from people all over the country,
Right.
and just not knowing, it's like, oh my gosh, we've got a pretty far reach. So we're still very, very excited and just pleased that 1 year later, kind of January of this year, we were just launching.
Yes, yes, yes.
So to look back at, especially at some of our earlier programs, at some of the topics we talked about, and we're just excited that our podcast has been so well received. And we just can't thank our listening audience enough for listening, for tuning in, for forwarding it on, to your friends and relatives. Our listenership, if that is a word, I don't know if it is or not, has really grown. And so we're doing some things to excuse me, to for it to continue to grow, like the YouTube channel. But this little guide that was developed by our team, it's really a kind of a thank you to you. It's free, doesn't cost anything. We're going to send it out automatically to all of our subscribers. And then, of course, it will be available on our website. So we're encouraging you, if you're not a subscriber, we're encouraging you to please subscribe, as we will have, some additional things that will be available to our subscribers only. So anyway, so let's talk a little bit more about our guide. Charlotte, anything else?
Oh God, I think this the guide is rich with lots of tips and resources, and maybe because I think it's rich because it's experimental and it comes from what we have experienced younger in our younger days. In our
Yeah, some
younger
things
days,
that have worked
we
for
didn't
us
go
and
for it. We
sometimes
didn't
not
go
worked
for it
for
for
us, huh?
now, but in our younger days, we learned from that, and I think our
Yeah,
learnings are in the notes of what we learn and how to approach different situations. And then some things are they're still learning. Some things are just they are what they are. They won't
yeah,
change.
yeah,
And there's nothing you can do about that, but decide what you're going to do for you. It's
yeah,
all about you
yeah,
and your safety, your peace, and your happiness.
yeah,
That's the important piece right there.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
when we were young and dumb, and not necessarily dumb, but young
Oh
and
yeah, yeah, I was dumb.
young
I
and
don't mind admitting that.
gonna take on the world and do all these things, or that this person can do this to me. We got knocked back down, but we got up from that. We got up from that, and the result of that are the tips and strategies that you have today, and we grow. I mean,
Right.
I had some learning growth last week, so we're never too old to go to grow.
No, we're
I'm
not.
excited to see the feedback. I really want to see the
Oh
feedback
yeah,
and
yes.
and
Yeah.
see how we can continue to help and how we can bring more comfort and experience to to the reader, because that's what it's about. It's about the reader and the audience.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, you're just hanging out, living, just living life, and all kind of situations come up. We've been calling some of them curveballs, but we encounter everyday situations that require us to make decisions and to make choices.
Mm.
And hey, we may as well admit, sometimes actually deciding to do something and deciding to take some action and make a decision, a lot of times we feel a huge relief at just getting to that point. Because sometimes it's a process, don't you think, Charlotte? It's a
Oh,
process
absolutely.
just to get to, I got to make a decision about this, or I got to decide something. And once you do, usually you feel a sense of relief. Now, am I saying that every choice, that every decision that we've made turns out great or turns out, to be the best choice. Sometimes not. Sometimes
Right.
not. And there certainly are many, many times where you just have to back up, kind of rethink, regroup, and start over and start that whole decision-making process all over again.
Yeah.
And we know too that heck, many decisions that we make, they affect a lot of other people, our, our families, our,
Correct.
work partners, work friends, um, significant others, life partners, they affect a lot of other people. There's a lot of considerations.
Hmm.
So we're not trying to tell you that, hey, you can go snap one, two, three, and all of a sudden, made a decision that is the best thing ever for you. It's hard. It's hard to do that. But how often do we think, if only I had a cheat sheet or something that could help me decide this, I'd probably come out on the other side okay. So what we've done with our little guide is to provide you with a cheat sheet, which is with a small little document that has, our trademark mannerisms.
Hmm.
It has some strategies, some tips to help you kind of get through. So we're excited about this and we can't wait to share it with you. So we came up with these 5 areas. It's not every area, but it's 5 areas that we're gonna, talk about in the guide. So dun, 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 we are
Ta-da!
formally dun, 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 we're formally introducing the Wise Black Nana's Guide to Life's Difficult Decision. Some tips for empowerment and joy, everyday joy. Darla?
Yes, we're navigating family drama, one that I know we all love.
Yeah, we do love that one.
uh, Choosing a new career path,
Yeah.
enduring toxic relationships. Okay.
Ooh.
Okay. I can't wait to
Ooh,
get to that
yeah.
one.
Yeah.
And deciding to find joy in the everyday. I think that's a lovely one to end with. So,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
it absolutely is. And just starting off our discussion, just kind of giving a little overview of what you're going to see there is saying no, saying no. Sometimes that is a really tough decision, a really tough one. And just all of the things that go into sometimes the guilt we feel, sometimes the obligation, sometimes just thinking, okay, if I say no, what's that really going to mean? So we, again, kind of giving you something to think about that it's okay to say no. And maybe a lot of us need to say no a lot more because we get ourselves so engaged and so wrapped up in sometimes somebody else's issues or someone else's things that they want us to do for them or some type of organizational obligations or whatever, and we just lose ourselves. We really
Yeah.
lose ourselves. So there's some tips in our guide to help us be able to say no just a little more. How do you think through that? How do you rationalize, okay, how am I going to feel when I do
And
say
not feel
this?
guilty. Yeah. And not feel
Yeah,
guilty.
yeah, don't wear that mantle. So again, some actionable tips and strategies that will help you be able to deal with at least these 5 areas, and hopefully it'll encourage and empower you to deal with other aspects in your life.
So I think one of the ones that a couple of them are very key here, and one of the ones that I have is navigating family drama. That is always a fire um,
Yeah.
before you start, before you put the logs on, because you have to find out information, and you have to find out your place. That's very important because, in my experience, I have been told that it wasn't my place to do what I was doing,
Uh,
but there was no one else to do it. So
right.
I just took it upon myself to facilitate or navigate the toxic situation,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes it was resolved and sometimes it wasn't resolved. If it's 30 or 40 years old, I don't think it's older than me, or almost half my age. I don't really think that I can resolve it, but try to get the parties together that it started with. And most of the time they're gone and
Mm-hmm.
nobody knows why so and so put what in the potato salad and it came out nasty. I don't know. You know, I mean, that sounds light, but that is truly some of the things that happen.
Nobody shared that recipe. It's kind of not
Uh-huh.
like it used to be, babe.
It's a family secret, and it causes a lot of toxicity. And
Yeah,
that's not the recipe. That's not the recipe.
yeah,
Is it good? That's a this is it good? That's all I care about. It's a good. So,
right, right.
but it does divide the family. I've seen it in action when we've had family events. You know, two people step in as who made the potato salad? Who made the potato salad? And it's like, divided forts. I said, oh my God. So it's interesting. But
Right.
like I said, I can try to resolve that. Maybe we can put the recipe together, or maybe we can make a new recipe, or something. But that's a low key kind of toxic drama that happens. Some of them are very, very, very serious, and there is no recourse. And you have to keep working at it, or like I've done, I said, okay, it's the grandkids' turn to kind of facilitate that now. I've done all I can do.
Yeah.
Um, so I've turned over to the next generation to deal with the situation. So
Well, and spoiler alert, the potato salad example is not one that we used in the guide. So you gotta
right.
go back. You gotta go back and listen to one of our older, earlier podcasts to fully understand the potato salad
Right,
recipe
right.
example. So I just wanted to give you a little spoiler alert there.
Yeah, it does. It really does. It's not professional, but it's personal. It's not professional in a sense of work or anything, but it can cause some deep havoc.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. And
um,
and we, while we're kind of making light a little bit of the family drama, we know that there's some deep
yes,
issues that run in families over generations that sometimes aren't resolved, and they have a way of showing up when you least expect. So while we're, making light over the potato salad example, we just don't want to overemphasize that we're hoping, that the tips and the strategies that, we provide in the guide can help you,
absolutely,
kind
absolutely.
of navigate, family situations that we all have, and it's
Right,
present
correct, correct,
in every family, in
correct.
every family. So another thing that we included in the guide is, again, just some tips and strategies around when you're trying to make a decision to change jobs or change career paths, or, do something that's completely different. Just how do you go about that? What are some key things that you need to think about? And what are some things that can help you, move through that process to, get you more information, help you seek out opportunities, and, just how do you do that? Sometimes we're just kind of at a loss for, okay, I think I'm ready to make a change. I don't know how to quite go about it. I just know I want to do this, and how do I go about it? So we're hoping that our tips and strategies will help you with that. Most of our listeners by now know that I made a major move when I moved from California uh, back to Central Florida, the Orlando area, a few years ago. and mostly thinking, that it was more reasonable to live there. It was kind of at the end of just that horrible real estate bubble that we had gone through in the San Francisco Bay Area, and so I was just finished with living, in this area. My home had decreased significantly in, value. And I also was in a long distance relationship, a cross country relationship. And I was eager to, at least be in the same time zone as my then uh, uh, guy that I was involved with and had been involved with for many years. Was living on the East Coast. So all of those things were rolling up into like this might be a good move for me. So I have to chuckle because every time I think about this story, I think about a really good friend of mine who has a saying, and every now and then she'll say, "Hey, seemed like a good idea at the time." Um, so Terry, yeah, it seemed like a good idea at the time. So I moved and knew that I wanted to, work a little longer, but mostly I wanted to make new friends and find out what opportunities were available in the Orlando area. So I started volunteering. I started networking with people that I met through those volunteer efforts. I volunteered with some community and school organization using my HR background, to just offer up that skill set. But at the same time, I was learning more about the community. I was learning about more opportunities. I was learning, just what the job market was like by talking, to others that were in it. And I also was making friends. I joined my professional association, and there I met lots of people, learned a lot about what was really happening on the Orlando scene that I never, ever would have learned if I just continued to hang out with my family and didn't reach out, and include others in my life. So not only did I meet and make some lifelong friends, I did get a job through that network. Now, I didn't keep it because it just didn't work out for me. But I did get a job and learn about a lot more opportunities that were open and available to me. My sister always says about me, she says, Joanne, you just never met a person that remained a stranger. So she just always would shake her head when, I'd start talking to a perfect stranger and pretty soon knew a lot about them and, what they were about and what was happening with them. So I kind of chuckle to myself sometime because I met a lot of people that did not remain strangers and used my professional organization and used my network of HR professionals and used volunteer work, to learn more about areas that I was interested in working and opportunities. So all of that really led to a coaching career, which I didn't know much about, didn't really know that it eventually would grow for me into a business. And certainly, along with Dr. Sharla, helped me feel a lot more confident about starting this podcast. So, make a long story short, our guide does include some tips on when you're thinking about heading into something new. Use the things that you already have available to you. Don't be afraid to step out there, meet new people, make those strangers friends, professional friends. I'm not saying make them personal
Right.
friends, but many times they become personal friends. So just don't be afraid of that. Open yourself up to new opportunities. Because if you don't try it, you'll never know. You'll never know if that could have worked out. You'll never know if I could, try something completely different than what I've been doing before. So that's really our message on, just providing you with a little bit of help and, also sharing with you what my own experience has been in that area. The last thing I'll say on that is that it kind of reminds me also of what we talked about in our last podcast we talked about Dr. Maya Angelou, and one of her quotes that's one of our favorite ones is that life offers us tickets to places which we have not knowingly asked for. I'll say it again. Life offers us tickets to places which we have not knowingly asked for. And when we choose to try something different, just be open to what comes your way. You just might be surprised.
Yeah, I would have to agree with Joanne on that particular one since I retired many years, quite a few years after her, and just really being preparing myself for retirement and making those
Hmm.
connections. So when I
Hmm.
got where I was, I did establish a couple of connections, but more, unfortunately, because of illness, I haven't been able to make more, but I hope to do that within the coming year. So it's so important to widen the circle and keep
Yep.
widening your circle. You never know
Yep.
what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Our next tips and strategies have to do with ending toxic relationships. And I think this is a difficult one for everyone, particularly if it's professional um, um, and personal. I'm speaking from experience. Know yourself, know what you're capable of, and have the conversation. It's a hard conversation. And listen, be willing to listen and acknowledge what you don't know and what you do know.
Right.
Um, Now, as far as personal, that could get to be a real sticky um, because toxic relationships could be family, sibling. Um, it could be very innate in the family. So you have to be very careful with that. You also have to know your place. Um, and if your place is to mediate or navigate that situation. So
Yeah.
it is with delicate hands and delicate fingers and openness to start that process. I
Right.
think this is harder in a personal setting when things are really too hard, such as loved one has passed and there's disagreements on certain things, and it's just everyone is estranged. So you
Right.
just have to keep working. And unfortunately, it might not be your place, but it might be your place if you don't understand what
Yeah.
I mean.
Right. Right.
Because
Well,
no
and
one else wants to do it.
mhm. I think what you're showing in the examples is that, there are toxic relationships all over, and in many different types of situations. Sometimes we think, we're thinking of a quote love relationship when we think toxic. But your examples do show that we have toxic relationships, work situations, family situations. It's not always just in a romantic, type situation. And the
Right.
tips that we provided, while they lean, a little bit more to the relationship, the romantic relationship, they can certainly be applied in other situations. And then I think you mentioned earlier that um, these are really, really tough. And
Yeah,
sometimes we
they are
may
tough.
need professional help outside of, you may
Right.
need some outside help by utilizing a coach or therapist and, you know, we shouldn't be afraid or hesitant to seek that outside help, because sometimes we just may not be able to resolve it. And it's okay to, when you say it's okay to acknowledge that and to realize that I may need some other kind of help to help me deal
Yeah,
with this situation.
right.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
there's the convincing of that, So,
yeah,
but,
absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
so I think the tips that are offered for enduring toxic relationships are good ones, and
Hmm.
I'm sure there's plenty more.
Workable. There's tons. I mean, there's
Yeah,
tons. I think we said earlier as a qualifier that this little guide is a very small little document. It's not the end all be all answer to every situation or everything that might come up, but these are just some areas that we've identified.
right.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. And then one that we're hearing so much about joy, these days, the need for joy. And we've even talked about joy and finding joy, in some of our podcasts, um, whether it's rainbows or little spontaneous acts of kindness. We really do have the ability to make a choice around whether we look and seek out the joy in things, or if we just shut that down and stay gloomy or stay glum or whatever. But I choose joy, and we're asking everybody to think about choosing joy just in your everyday activities, because we got so much going on, and we're so distracted and pulled in so many ways. Sometimes it's just really hard to find a rainbow or to find a smiley face somewhere, or a joke, or a funny, TV show or something that gives us, um, that joy. But
Right.
we're just challenging everybody to look for joy wherever you can find it. Um, and it's there. It could be as simple as smiling and saying good morning to somebody, as to how that makes you feel versus, having a frown on your face and just stomping by someone, and not acknowledging them. Something as simple as a little child's smile, or a hug, from a little kid, or a hug from your friend, or a hug from your,
Yeah.
when it's not expected. So many ways. So we're just challenging everybody to look for the joy in the everyday things that we're doing, and just try to rally that, and and surround yourself and your families with with joy.
Well, it sounds good. It sounds like we are on our way here to our first guide,
Yeah, yeah.
and I'm super excited and a little nervous too about what the feedback's going to be, but I think that'll be
Why are you
fine
nervous? Why are you nervous?
because we haven't done it before.
Okay,
It's just
okay.
like we hadn't done a podcast before,
I
so
know. We're nervous every time we do a podcast, so we don't
right.
mind. We don't mind admitting to that. We're absolutely
No,
nervous.
no.
But yeah, I understand what you're saying, but we are certainly wanting the feedback, because it lets us know if we are, we think we're in tune with our audience, and that our audience is listening to us because they want to hear about the things that we've experienced, but we could be going down the wrong, uh, well, I don't want to say wrong, but we could be, maybe needing to take a relook at the things we're talking about and how we're approaching our podcast. So we always welcome the feedback. We get so excited when we see your comments on Facebook. So we just encourage you to keep those coming.
Yes, please. And now that we have TV or on TV, your
I
RTV,
know. Our YouTube
UTV.
channel. So yeah, we're gonna be putting up some more videos. Our wonderful producer, Michelle, has just been great at helping us kind of patch together some video material and posting that on YouTube. So we encourage you to get on over there and check that out. And we're hoping to have some fun, also some fun with that. So
Yeah.
please stay
We're
tuned.
hoping to maybe have a couple live sessions. We'll see
Yeah,
how that works out.
yeah, yeah. Now that I will be nervous about.
Yeah,
That I'll be
just
nervous
change the
about.
pace a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So we just wanted to take this episode just to really talk about primarily our guide that we're providing to you, and to do a little infomercial, commercial for it. So we hope you enjoy it. Give us some feedback, and please subscribe to our podcast if you are not a subscriber already, because we're trying to grow our exposure and grow our reach. And one way to do that is, with through subscriptions. So as usual, we always encourage you to go back and listen to some of your favorite episodes, as we are busy, busy, busy working, writing and developing new episodes for episodes to come. So that's our episode for today. Again, we thank you so much for helping Wise Black Nanas become Wise Black Nanas. And
Thank
we thank
you
you
so
for
much.
listening, participating, commenting, and tuning in to the various ways that, we have made a presence.
Correct.
And as a reminder, you know that we know that this podcast, as much as we love it, is not for everybody. And we know that it is for a lot of somebodies. So, Dr. Sharla and I hope that you've heard something, or you've gained one thing from today's episode that is a learning, an insight, or an inspiration to you to do something, to take some action. And we
Yes.
always want you to be grateful. Take stock of what you
Yes.
have, what you've
Yes.
already achieved, what you can do and achieve, instead of what you do not have and what you haven't done. Just consider how good your life is already. Be grateful and find some joy. So our Nanaism quote for today is again from Dr. Maya Angelou: "Nothing can dim the light that shines from within." So please keep that in mind as you go out there and enjoy your day, enjoy your week, and we'll see you on the next episode. So thank you for listening, and please continue to share Wise Black Nanas with your friends and families.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning into our podcast, Wise Black Nanas. New programs of Wise Black Nanas are on the 1st and 15th of each month. Listen in as you learn more about Wise Black Nanas, Dr. Sharla Walker and Joanne Early. They are everyday nanas. They are not famous, not celebrities or rich, well, rich in life and its experiences. We want you to come back. Tell your friends. So, look for Wise Black Nanas podcast wherever you find your favorite podcasts. Learn more about them and the coaching services they offer at www.wiseblacknanas.com.